Everybody, welcome back to Common Sense, the podcast. We're excited to sit down with you guys this weekend, even though I got this weird echo right now, but I think that's going to go away. So the master on the tables over there, Biz, with us this week. He even set up his own mic without me forcing him to.
Yeah, because I knew he was going to say something. So these were turntables to be different, but this is what I deal with this week.
All right.
Turntables is next week.
We'll roll with it. We'll roll with it. Well, you guys, we got an exciting show this week. I don't think we've done this yet. Sat down with an actual artist. You guys welcome Steven Herget to this show.
How's it going? How's it going?
We're good, man. Like, super excited to sit down and chop it up with you. It's first podcast, right?
For sure, yes.
Yep, so we're going to pop the cherry with the first podcast. I'm even more excited about that.
Of course.
That'll be super dope. So, as you guys can see, like, we've even got some of his artwork on display tonight.
Josh Sims said you're all into the mood being super artsy with the backwards cap on.
Yeah.
Josh, here, I'll go more for Josh.
Josh, he didn't even wear it yet. He waited until we started to put it on. He had it in its own bag. It had like a Kevlar cover. It was everything before he even started.
Yeah, I had to pull the special element hat out of the bag, you know. Just something like that. You know, I wasn't going to do something this fancy when we had Josh on here because, you know, I mean, what do you need fancy about someone from Little Elm?
Oh, hell, here we go. He's probably on his way up here now.
Yeah. Get me started tonight. I'm in one of those moods because I was prepared because we didn't have a guest lined up because someone got sick at the last minute. My boy stepped in over here.
Now we're here.
To jump on with us, so I'm excited about this. So
No, I'm excited to tell some stories for you guys, for sure.
Yeah, so tell everybody a little bit about your background, where you're from, what you do.
For sure. So I'm from Miami, Florida, and I stayed out there for 14 years of my life, and so I've kind of split my time between Miami and Texas. And I think I've enjoyed kind of that transit. I feel like Texas, I'll say, made me more humble.
Yeah.
And Miami was very fast paced. And growing up, it was like you were 5 years older than you were in Miami. So
I don't see you as a Miami guy.
I know it's the pale skin for sure.
Yeah.
But that was me. And so I think later on, I've kind of brought a little bit of Miami to Texas a bit. So yeah.
And then Mandy, I'm sure, added to this a little bit, you know.
Mandy and I kind of share styles, too. Like, she loves wearing my clothes all the time, and every once in a while she gets a cool piece that I'm like, I could rock that. So, yeah, I mean, we're doing a bunch of different stuff, and she's an amazing artist. So.
And then she got you in the gym and everything.
I was in the gym, and she
takes full credit for
was
this.
in the gym,
I'm
too.
telling on her right now.
Well, I mean, I've definitely had my ins and outs with the gym, but I mean, together when I met her, I was like, this is a terrible time to meet, and I'm trying to get my life together basically, and she was all in for it. So from there, we've just been trying to be better for each other, I guess, and the gym was part of that.
Right on. So, well, I love watching you guys collab together.
It's a wild journey, the things we get ourselves into. So it's been fun so far.
Yeah. So when did you come to Texas?
When I was 14, so 8th grade. And so that was like a whole transition into high school with no friends. And yeah, I'll tell people I've been a lot of people in my life. I've like been the nerd, the jock, the bully, the kid getting bullied, the artist, the whatever. But when I moved here, I ate lunch in the bathroom, oddly enough, and like my first friends were considered kind of like the nerdy kids, I guess, in school, and honestly the best people ever. And I mean, as a kid going through high school with no friends, you're kind of like searching for the group you want to be in, and I wasn't seeking the right groups for a little bit, and I wanted to be with the popular kids, but they weren't the best. And yeah, at the end of the day, I always just felt comfortable with people who were more comfortable with themselves, and that often was the nerdy group, I guess. So I feel more connected with that than anything.
And that was like the Hebron High, like Carrollton
exactly.
area, right?
Yeah, Hebron.
Yeah, I grew up in the same area.
It's an interesting area for sure.
Yeah,
it's just a true suburb.
Yeah, I mean, I moved here from Connecticut, so I totally understand what you're saying, you know, and I moved every 3 years growing up. So, you know, It is hard, especially at
was it
those
like
ages.
military?
You're at 14, that's when you're making like crucial friends.
Of course.
You're going through puberty, you're maturing, you're like trying to figure things out.
For sure.
That could be a rough time period.
I mean, I had sports at first. Like, I came here and I was always pretty decent at sports. I was like pretty awesome baseball player, but I just hated the idea of like the coach's attitude, I guess. And so when I moved here, I was like, I'm kind of done being coached a little bit. So I played soccer.
Yeah.
So, yeah, not a lot of coaching there. So that was fun. That's where I made my first friends, and still didn't really have any friends. Just kind of like went to soccer practice and like was cool with everybody. And oddly enough, I got the invite to like join a gamer chat one time, like for Call of Duty, and that was like the start to like my longest friends I've had so far. And I hadn't seen them for 6 months before I met them the first time, and my soccer friend was like, this is my gamer tag, and they're like, oh, this is this gamer tag and this gamer tag, and I'm like, this is incredible, because we knew so much about each other and we've given each other shit, like you know that kind of connection you make in games sometimes. And yeah, we were like best friends, but I had no idea who they were.
Like, so it's keyboard warriors.
Yeah,
Y'all
exactly.
were just talking shit to each other.
And like kicking ass and like doing great in this game. But yeah, we met each other, and it was just like, it was funny to see everybody's characteristic, like, and who they were, like behind the gamer tag, I guess. And so yeah, those times were really important for me, like to get through high school in a way. So yeah, a lot of figuring out happened in high school. Yeah. Not always for the best, but
I can relate to that. And hold on, whoa. Better than Reed? No, Redder, you are not better than Reed. Like, we're not even going to start right there tonight. But good timing. Love that you're on here, brother. So after high school, college, where'd we go next? What would we do
so right out of high school, a week after graduation, I started college at Collin, but college nonetheless. I was like, I'm gonna get into it, like just hit it. And I met a girl, and sweet girl, and we were together for about 6 months, and I was like kind of just not really doing anything in college, just kind of going and just like eating shit a little bit. And she was like, I'm going to go to Texas State. And I wanted to go to Texas State, but I didn't want to write a letter there, so I didn't.
Yeah.
Which was just, I was just a kind of a lazy person growing up. Lazy, but had a lot of creativity, so not always the best balance. And she kind of gave me an ultimatum, and she was like, I'm going to go to college here. And I was like, I didn't want to lose her at the time, so I followed her to college, got a 3.85 that year, and got automatic transfer into Texas State, and which was a great decision, you know. And I had a great amount of time with her, and journeys and memories that were really great, and got to go there for interior design, and met a lot of interesting people, and was doing my art. I had been working random jobs for like 3 or 4 years prior to that, and when I went to college, I was like, I really want to just do college. Like, I don't want to worry about having a job or anything. So I had like a $50 allowance for like every week, I guess, which really is nothing. So I had to make money off my art, and I started doing murals at the local bars, and like taking on little pop-ups and things like that, just casual, but I thought I was doing a lot. And it kind of painted the town a bit. So it was a cool experience, and graduated during COVID and went back home to live with my mom because couldn't afford the apartment anymore, and had to almost restart again. So it was like I separated myself from my mom for like 5 or 6 years, came back home, and was like, what are we doing? But it was a blessing for sure. So it changed up a lot of my thoughts.
Where did art really start coming in for you? I mean, have you always been drawn to art and just always played around with it?
So early on, like my brother's definitely a huge influence. He's an artist as well. And growing up, especially like when I was in elementary school, I'd say, and he was moving into middle school, he was taking a lot of art classes, and he'd always come home with cool stuff. And I was like, this is awesome. Like, they were whatever, but to me, they were just like gold. And he'd come back with these cracked masks that exploded in the kiln, and I was like, this is awesome. And so I always just looked up to him. So what he was doing was kind of what I looked towards doing in life a little bit. And I mean, as I grew up and got older, I kind of trailed my own path a little bit. So, but yeah, he was kind of the start to me in art. And from there, it was just kind of perspectives on other people's stories in art that I connected with that inspired me, like Frank Gehry. A lot of, can we curse on here?
Yeah, you're good, man.
A lot of like fuck you artists, like artists that were either like fuck you to the man or like just moving things like in different directions and pushing stuff. Like Frank Gehry is like this amazing architect, and everyone was like really hating on his style, and he's still to this day like one of the main guys in architecture. But he decided to take on a house and just use Home Depot supplies to like make it. And he just to prove to these people who were talking shit that he could do something like super special, and it didn't really matter how expensive the material was or whatever it was. Like he was a master craftsman at what he did. And yeah, like a lot of energy like that. And I tried to like bring that into my life, and not to be combative or anything, but to kind of just offer a different perspective in a way. And yeah, a lot of music and art and artists and car culture specifically too for me. It was just something big in Miami about car culture, and later
a lot of that Cuban influence.
For sure, like especially like this Bel Air. Like
dope.
It's very common to see a Bel Air. I'd say it's probably more common to see a Bel Air in Cuba though. But
how would you describe this piece, and like what style of art and everything?
So I mean, it's bridging surrealist painting, but it definitely has like a background in street art culture. So I'm trying to like bridge this gap right now between fine art and street art, because there's sometimes like a negative connotation with street art or graffiti or whatever, but this is a different kind of path, kind of what I just explained. And so
is there a difference in like mediums that you're using and stuff like that too? So it looks like there's like some spray paint and then acrylics.
Yeah,
like
so everything. A lot of it starts out more as like an energy flow, and I'm just like, let me get something out, and I'll either have a direction or I won't, and sometimes that's for better or worse, but it leads somewhere, and maybe the paint kind of is suggesting something, and I'm like, okay, well, let's do it. Or in this case, I had a plan, and we were doing a sponsored gig for a company, and they do a lot of like gearhead content and apparel. So for people who are really into like slam trucks or old rusty farm trucks brought back to life, or just kind of like a classic 57 Chevy drag car essentially. But all that, and that's something that I really love too. I'm not like a gearhead per se, or like I couldn't tell you anything about breaking down an engine or anything like that, but I've always been around it. So aesthetically, it's been something that I'm just very into, especially like the streamlined cars from back in the day. It's just
something that's been a big influence.
Yeah, it's a nostalgia for me, even though it wasn't personally my time period. I definitely was surrounded by people who were heavily ingrained in car culture, and so I like to think it shows up later in my life and things like this, and it's like an ode to my past lives in a way. But yeah, it's fun in that way, where it kind of can be whatever it wants or something specific. But
did you mainly teach yourself? Did you take a lot of art classes? Where did you kind of like learn all the different skills?
I think most of it is just kind of experimentation. I think when you're growing up, you always have like the mandatory art class, or you go into college in interior design, you have to take some credits in art. And I was never a painter. I was like a sketch artist, and I loved graphic design, and I did that in high school for like half my day and went to a different school I was going to do a lot of different things. So when I approached it with painting later on, as I realized it was more expressive and I could like do a lot more with it, it transitioned into something a lot bigger that I don't really know how to explain it super deep, but it's just this accumulation of everything that I've kind of built out over time.
Because I love watching you guys too. I mean, I've seen you guys like watching your videos and stuff where you'll literally like straight up scrap some shit. You guys like be cleaning house and you'll like take art and like black this out and just completely start over.
And this would be like something like that, where you'd have a piece of this quality and it's just like, well, it just doesn't need to exist anymore. So it's just... Or I need a canvas and I don't want to drive to the store, and it's like that lazy of a thought where it's like, well, we got a canvas and it's not really doing anything right now, so let's make it something fresh or whatever. So it is very common that they're on my early paintings, like 6 or 7 paintings, because I scrapped my paint and my canvases or whatever I was painting like from the street. That was the only way I could afford to paint. And I really like spiritually needed to paint. Like it really relieved like a lot of anger and frustration I was having in life, or depression. And I started going on this hunt for trash because my mom's neighborhood would throw out the best trash. And I was like, this is great. Like somebody's old canvas, I'll go paint on that. And I would sell those for free. It'd be like 500x whatever it costs, or like in certain situations, or 2000x, and that was amazing to me. And from there I was able,
just found a way to make it work.
I was like, I see it all sitting there, and I'm not like the biggest humanitarian or whatever, but I do like to like take trash and kind of reuse it, or like be able to upcycle something enough to where it gets more life out of it. So my early work is so flat and dull, and it's really cool and interesting looking because it is like so dull, and it's just odd in that way. But it's because everything I found was like the old house paint that didn't get used for the house that got painted, and it was just whatever tones were available. And if it had been sitting in the garage for 2 years, it had like kind of like a layer on top of it, and that added a different dimension to the paint. And there was a lot of like, when you burn house paint, there's like this really interesting texture it creates. So my early paintings, I had this like pink paint, house paint, and when you burned it, it turned white, but the bubbles stayed pink. And so it's like really interesting things that were happening. And I mean, it leads into this, and it's just the same way you'd build out a background. It's just like, figure it out, burn it, scratch it. Oh, that's cool. That's not cool. So like you lit
some of this on fire.
Yeah. So when this paint is, especially spray paint, I mean, definitely not that, but when spray paint is fresh, it has I almost thought I had a unlit cigar for a second. When I'm painting it and it's fresh spray paint, it has that alcohol base layer and still in it. So you just torch it and the whole thing goes and then comes back out. And so it's a good way to dry the paint super fast. Or if you keep the flame on it, it creates like a bubbly texture, and then I can scratch it and pull some lines because there's like another color underneath it. And it's very experimental and like freeing in that way. So it's nice that it's gotten to this point, because it was a lot of experimentation to kind of break down something that looks so rough but is actually very like calculated.
I think that's one of the really cool things about knowing you and Manny. I mean, I'm getting to know you more. His girlfriend's like one of my favorite bartenders, for the record. Like, that's how we know each other. So
she's the best.
But watching you two, like, you're both definitely artists, and you're both definitely completely yourself all the time. And I love that. Like, you guys really don't give a fuck what anybody thinks about you, what they think about your art, what they think about, how you dress, how you act, whatever. Like, you two just are both very free spirits, and I love that about both of you. Like, that, like, it's just a I don't give a fuck attitude.
Yeah, we kind of just exist in a way a little bit. But, I mean, we show up. So the brand that I'm starting is Honest Label. And so I was going by Honest, like in my art name, because it was like a person I was becoming in my life.
Yeah.
So it used to just be Hergs, which is just a terrible like graffiti name. It was a breakdown of my last name. It meant absolutely nothing to me, but I was really dealing with a lot in my personal life, especially like mentally. And I went through a lot right before I met her, and I was like ready to not be here. I got out of the 6-year-long relationship to not like destroy it. I was just messing around with girls, and I was like, this isn't healthy. Like, you literally just got out of a long relationship because you weren't healthy, and you're continuing to do unhealthy stuff. And did 2 years of celibacy, like then met a girl who convinced me to come out of it, and then she robbed me for a bunch of money, and I was like, what is this life?
Yeah.
And so I was dead broke, like kind of at the bottom, but I was so mentally strong, and like no one could fuck with me at all. And when I met Mandy, I was just like the most confident guy, and I was done looking, like searching for love. And I reached out to her, but we kind of have mixed reviews on how we met. But what I remember is like seeing this picture of her holding her art, and I was like, she's pretty and her art is awesome. Like, I'm gonna ask her to go spray paint and see like if she'd be cool with it. And I've told her this, like I asked 2 other girls before that if they would want to do that, and they were like, oh, that's so weird and like whatever.
Yeah.
And I knew the person that was gonna be like, yeah, it was like a special person.
Yeah.
And the only thing, we hadn't talked at all, and the only thing she said was fuck yeah. And I was like, that's the energy I was looking for. Ever since then, like our first date was like a 3-hour trauma dump sesh, but it was like a healthy way where we're like, yeah, we're kind of messed up in this way, and we've had this happen to us, but we're not looking to stay here. I was like, do you want to like figure this out and get better? And we were both kind of just like, fuck yeah. Yeah, I told her it was a terrible time to meet. Like, I was trying to figure all this out. I was like, there's no way I should be dating right now. I was like, I'm dead broke. I'm living with my mom. I'm trying to figure out this art business, and I'm an architect, and I'm like thinking I'm the shit, but I'm like, I need to focus. And yeah, she was like, I'm here for it. She's like, I'm down for that. I was
and
like,
now recently you've gone full-time artist too, right?
So,
like, we're no longer doing the architect
exactly.
thing. This is full-time artist now.
The architect thing was a dream. That was like a down the road dream where I was gonna do my art, I was gonna do interior design, it was gonna lead to a place where I was like in a healthy enough situation to be able to like make art or architecture as Steven Herget or as Honest or whatever it was. Like, that was just gonna happen. And I had just graduated, and I was trying to sell my work, and I was just saying yes to a lot of people. I was very much like a selfish person who said no often to just kind of keep my head sane a little bit. And I realized that wasn't like the best way to go through life. So you watch the movie Yes Man, it was basically that. You know, I started saying yes to things, opportunities started to arise. It would lead me here, I'd meet this person and lead me there. And to this day, it's still kind of how I function. I flow where I'm wanted and things like this. And I get to meet people like you, and we get to have this experience. But yeah, it wasn't always like that. And even it comes in waves, I guess, where I definitely feel like I'm isolating a lot sometimes, just because of the nature of my work is painting and kind of being by myself a lot. And especially with Mandy at work, it's just kind of me at the house working. And it is work, but it's like you're also just at the house all the time. And so it's kind of a dread. And yeah, you kind of just got to start saying yes to things again to kind of get out of the house. And I was just trapped a lot. And when she met me, I was not that person. I was just like taking on everything, and went through this architecture, and that just ended like in the worst way, where I was like being really supportive to a company that just wasn't taking care of their people.
Yeah.
And boss had a little bit too big of an ego for someone who was like bringing in a lot of money. And I was just asking for help from a man, and he just like shredded me for no reason and was just like, get the fuck out of here. And I was like, that's crazy. And I mean, at that point I was 8 months into looking for a new job anyways. So I said, got it. Thanks.
Yeah.
You know, because sometimes you have that boss where you kind of stick around somewhere longer just to feel a little bit safer or secure in your life. And it just wasn't healthy at all.
And he made that decision real clear.
He made that decision, but it wasn't like I changed what I was doing for his company. Like I continued to just like push as hard as possible and like close on projects and be the person that he kept complaining that everyone else wasn't showing up as. And I was like, well, I'm going to be that guy, you know?
Yeah.
And I guess that's just ego being like, I need someone to be like, you're doing good. You're doing a good job. And
yeah.
The reality is that's just not always going to be there. And it's not, it does show up in its times, but to be relying on somebody else in that way is just like giving up kind of my own heart a little bit in a way. So yeah, I got out of that, felt like I was very happy for that. And I still am very grateful, but yeah, didn't deal with the separation of that. That's like 2.5 years, and you dedicate yourself to like a really awesome family of people who are working for someone who's not the best and really like tight knit. Yeah, so that sucked a lot, and it really kind of sucked me out of like being around people, talking a lot, and I was just like, I need to work and figure this out. So I sat in the house for another 8 months and just worked. And the work got better. Everything kept going up except the financials, because all I did was create work. I didn't focus on my marketing. I didn't focus on the business aspect of being an artist. And a lot of people will think it's just creating art and it sells or whatever, but a full-time art business is like a serious thing, and it's constant work, and it's not easy if you're not the best businessman. So
and you got to get your stuff displayed too until you have your own studio and all that stuff. It's like finding, you know, interesting people that maybe you network with, you know, these like, maybe it's a bar owner or a restaurant or whatever, to get some of your artwork up and in so that you can actually like really see what's going on and
for sure
getting it out there. And I know you guys have been doing a lot more art shows, putting your guys' stuff out there, which is really cool to watch. And
that's all Mandy. So like when I met her, our first experience was that taking her to that graffiti warehouse, and was just such a surreal experience. And when we tell it, it could be its own movie, honestly, because it's an abandoned warehouse area in Dallas in the 10 district, and it's legal for you to go and do graffiti or art or whatever you want to do, but it is just a barren warehouse, you know.
Is that where you guys did the like super cool mural that you did together that was like, I remember like there was like a sneaker thing like out.
The place you're talking about, I've actually shot some music videos out there.
At a design district.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. And there's also, where's the place where it's like a bunch of, is that the same spot where it's like some shanty like shacks? It's like literally this off the beaten path street. It's going towards downtown, but it's literally like a bunch of, maybe that is it with the warehouse. It's like, it's not just one warehouse. It's kind of several.
It's like a whole line of. It's the design.
Some homeless
district.
people kind of hang out there too.
Yep,
that's the spot.
It's funny that it's common literally everywhere that art districts or design districts often are in like terrible areas.
Yeah, and you'll see a bunch of photographers and artists and everybody. They just pull up and everybody just finds a section. Nobody kind of impedes, or they'll wait till somebody's done doing what they're doing. And
it's a whole scene.
Yeah. I've done a couple of music videos and they came out pretty dope.
It's been a weird battle because we've tried to really be a part of the Dallas scene, you know, and at the same time we've not done enough to really be a part of it. We put ourselves out there and in a certain way, but again, we're not the best marketers. So
well, let's market for you real quick here.
For sure.
Let's market for you real quick. So one of the reasons I was really excited about having Steven on. So you guys have heard me talk for the last several weeks about my good friend Naz that's battling cancer right now. I threw this idea out to Mandy, and she was like, yeah, let me talk to Steven. I'm for sure in, and I bet he's in, but like, let me talk to him. I asked for one painting to donate to our silent auction to help raise money for Naz while he's going through his treatment. They not only came back with one painting, they each wanted to donate a painting. And I'm telling you right now, I'll tease this next week as we get real close to the event, because the event is the following Saturday on the 30th at Will Call Bar down in Deep Ellum, which I think is going to be an awesome place for you guys to have your paintings out while we're all doing this event. And I think you're going to meet some amazing people down there in Deep Ellum. I think there's going to be a lot of people that'll, you know, really connect with your guys' artwork. But I can tell you right now, the piece you donated, y'all are bidding against me on this for sure, because this is a dope ass piece of art. Like, they didn't just like kind of like give something that's like, this has been sitting in the corner for a long time. It's not selling. This is what we're going to give you. No, they picked out something that they really are passionate about. Because I'm going to tell you this too. The first thing they both asked me when they agreed to do this was, can we deliver the piece of art to whomever wins it? Because we would really like to connect with them and just kind of have a moment to like introduce ourselves and let them know that like, hey, we're the artists that actually did this. I thought that was so cool that you guys, and we're going to put some stipulations on that though, because we've got it set up officially as of today. The silent auction is going to be online. It's going to be a live auction that'll go from the day of on the 30th. It'll start that morning. The site will go live. We'll have links out. We'll post it. All that'll go out live. And then we're going to cut it off at like 10 p.m. where, you know, whoever wins, whoever's the highest bid by 10 p.m., that's it. And then if you are within 30 minutes of DFW here locally, they will deliver the artwork to you. Or if you're one of the people, because I know both of Kristen and Naz both have family out of town, if it's possible that you bid on the item and you win it and you're out of town, then you're going to have to work out the shipping part. And
you will have eligibility to pay for flights and housing for us to come. And
if you want to do that too, I mean, they're down to come and meet you. Yeah, by all means. So
but we just want to connect with more of the people who are buying with our art. Like, it is not our intention to just sell and just let it be gone. Like, we want to commit to being honest with the people who buy our stuff and just giving them they're going to get a piece of us. So it'd be awesome to kind of chat with that person a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think that's super cool. I mean, this is obviously going to a good cause. It's a fundraiser for somebody battling cancer. And I just think it's really awesome of you guys to donate what you've done. And again, I will post those pictures early next week so that you get a little preview of some of the stuff that's going to be up for grabs on the silent auction. We've got lots of cool stuff, everything from signed memorabilia to gift cards for rolfing, VO2 training, horseback riding, personal training, cigars, signed guitar by Paco Estrada.
That's awesome.
I mean, we're going to have all kinds of cool stuff. We're going to have great live music for you guys pretty much all day long. Great bartenders making you amazing drinks, food. Their bar food is amazing at Will Call. Mm-hmm. I highly recommend the wings. That's one of my favorite.
It's a cool vibe out there.
It's a great vibe.
It's like a dark, spooky vibe. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, JR's been a part of Deep Ellum for a long, long time. He's a great dude. I'm sure some of the other local guys that all support each other will show up. Maybe we'll get a Clint Barlow from Trees or, something like that out there. But, I know a lot of people are going to be coming out that really want to support Naz in this event. So I'm really looking forward to it, man. I hope all of you can come out and join us that are here locally. We're going to have a good time. But
and if you don't get a piece and you're still itching for a piece of art, feel free to reach out.
Yeah, and they're going to come out and
we'll
be
take
there.
Care of you.
Yeah,
sure.
You guys are going to be there. You guys both said you wanted to come out to the event, so they'll be around. You guys want to meet them, talk to them. You want to commission a piece, they'll do that. or if you want to look at some of the other stuff, both of them, we'll put links to his website and all that up when we post the show live, when it goes out on all the platforms. So if you guys want to connect with Steven or Mandy, we'll put all that out there that you guys will be able to jump in and do that. It'll be a super cool thing.
We want to do a lot more large scale pieces too, so murals and things like that. So if you guys,
where are some murals that you've done that people can go see? Because I know you guys have done that.
For me personally, San Marcos, Texas, if you go to the Vault Bar, the Access Bar, there used to be an apartment, but it was like collapsing at the time. So
okay.
I mean, who knows if it's there anymore, but I can't remember the name of that one. But in Dallas, you can go to the Design District Art Collective, and it's a private spot, but I'm sure they'd be open to, they have a gallery in there as well. So you can reach out to Sean. He's a good dude.
Yeah.
But we got a big mural in there. And then I just worked on a mural with a buddy I met at a pop-up named Guerrero. Super cool dude, and went out to East Garland and like the hood, and we did a memorial painting for a kid who passed away. That piece was already kind of set up already, and Guerrero did a really awesome piece of Muhammad Ali, and it's a barbershop. So it's a scene of Muhammad Ali and his son at the barbershop, and the barber's cutting his hair.
The tattoo artist I went to visit out there was real close to there.
And the blue and yellow wall. Yeah, I helped paint that randomly.
Okay.
I reached out to the dude and I was just like, I love this piece. I just wanted to be a part of it. And that's kind of the thing with anything. I don't ever want to like take from anything. I love being involved with things. So he was like, I was actually just going to reach out to you about like the background. I can't figure out the background. And I was like, all right, I'll come out there. And he just kind of let me do my thing, and we killed it. It's a sweet piece. And then from there, it was like, I think we're going to do a basketball court here now, because the mural is going to bring in a lot of people, and maybe we'll open back up. They used to have like a lowrider car wash over there, and so they had like an event where the whole city would come out and they'd have all the lowriders out, and it's at Trendsetters in Garland, if you guys ever want to check it out. But super cool piece, and yeah, just trying to do more things like that. He's a cool dude, and he's a tattoo artist, and he got into spray paint like this year, and we've been able to chop it up because all those things are ingrained in each other. So I've done tattoos a little bit, and been able to do some different design work, and how you build up compositions and like layering and stuff, it's all the same. So
so even learning how to use a tattoo gun and stuff, that wasn't a big transition?
From sketching and stuff like that. I mean, I've never like fully destroyed anything, but I was able to kind of do a lot of research growing up. Ever since I got my first tattoo. I mean, yes, I loved. I'm a Capricorn too, so I just like information. So, and I got my first tattoo, like a huge leg piece, so ridiculous. At 14, my parents divorced, and I like went back to Miami, and I jacked my brother's iPod, and I was like, I'm gonna get a tattoo with this, and like went on Craigslist and got this disgusting piece. And it's done bad, but it says "Be not afraid." And at the time, Bible verses were super popular, and that stuck with me. And I think later on in life, it actually became something like really important to me. Just kind of getting out of your own way a little bit, or kind of dealing with heavier situations, was just like, don't be afraid. And so I'm hoping that maybe soon Guerrero will touch it up or do something sweet over it, but we'll figure that out later.
Well, I can tell you, laser, bro,
yeah, that too, but
I'm
that
getting
stuff's
one off my
expensive.
back right now, and man, that shit is intense. I don't know if it's been so long since I've got a tattoo that I don't know which is worse, but I'm going with laser is like 1,000 times worse. It's hell for however long they're hitting you with the laser, and then after that, it's like, all right, this is just like a bad sunburn.
That's fair.
But like during it is like white knuckle hell. Like, I mean,
I've had a few friends.
Brutal, man. Like that, or I've just become a huge pussy. Like, I don't know, one or the other. Like,
I think the more you learn to have feelings and emotions in life, you realize that tattoos hurt like a motherfucker.
Yeah, you got to do something, man. I mean, well, and to be completely honest, the tattoo on my back, that was done completely hammered off of tequila in my mom's backyard.
There you go.
Like, with a tracing needle only. Like, the guy didn't even have the shading needle. And it was full tribal across my shoulder.
Super
blades.
welted
like,
the next day.
Oh, dude, it was terrible.
Thick.
Not that my first tattoo went much better, because the one on my arm, the cat told me to use this certain lotion. I think it was Lubriderm. And I didn't pay much attention. I just was like, Lubriderm. All right, cool. Got it. Grabbed it. My dumb ass grabbed like one of the ones that was like scented or whatever.
Yeah.
So, man, when I put that shit on, my tattoo literally raised like a quarter of an inch off my arm. I thought it was
bubbly.
Infected. Yeah, I thought it was like, I went back and was like, he's like, bro, you're having a reaction to whatever you're putting on it. Like, what are you putting on it? Like, go back to just maybe Vaseline. And it calmed down real quick, but like,
we always put Neosporin.
It's almost like but like when it first, for like the first, I don't know, decade, and even still this day, my tattoo is literally like raised. It's almost like I got branded and then they tattooed it. Like that's what happens when you do something like that. So no scented lotions when you're like healing a tattoo. It's a horrible idea.
It's always important not to put like a thick layer of anything over it, because it just absorbs everything and gets super bubbly. When I first got I got my tattoo machine from my old roommates, because I was obsessed with tattoos. I researched tattoos, watched tattoo shows, wanted to get one, didn't get one. They're like, here it is for your birthday. Within 4 hours, I was upstairs and did a 4-hour fill-in of like a black and gray outline piece on my leg, and just filled it in with color. Did a whole like Mary, and it was bright red. None of it's in the skin anymore. Like completely fell off. Just like almost like the skin just like, yeah. I didn't know what I was doing, and so I learned on myself. I've got so many dog shit tattoos that I just am super happy with, but like they're gonna go at some point in my life. But yeah, they're,
oh man, I don't think I could be committed like that.
Like I started with my thighs, just doing my thigh tattoos, and then I got.
So you was walking around with long pants and long sleeve shirts on 106 degrees outside, not to show.
I got that terrible tattoo in Florida, and this was like the year after my parents divorced. So I'm like 14, just went to Miami for the first time after moving. I'm like, I'm gonna go crazy, and came back. That tattoo was on my leg for 2 years before my mom saw it. Yeah, and it was because I got up out of the bed when she asked me a question, and my pants slid down just like ever so slightly.
And how old were you when she seen this? About 16 now? Or
yeah, 16 now.
So what was the reaction?
She's like, what the fuck is that? And she walks me out, because I'm like talking to a girl and she's in the room, and it's now awkward. And so she's like, come out in the hallway. And she's like, I don't think I'm ever going to get over this. And I was like, that's okay.
So what was it just because she saw ink and color, or was it the tattoo itself?
Yeah, it was just ink. She didn't even look at the tattoo at that point. She just knew it was there. It could have said mom. Yeah.
And she
could have said, I love you so much. You're the best mom in the world. She'd be like, what the fuck are you doing? So that was the vibe. And I told her I love you and I didn't do this to hurt you. And she was just like, I don't think I can get over this. She soon got over it, and my brother's got plenty of tattoos, and we've done tattoos. And I think at some point in her life, she'd maybe consider getting a tattoo. But
see,
it was just...
Come on, Mom.
Maybe you can talk your mom into letting you give her a tattoo.
At some point, I'm sure, but...
A small one on the shoulder blade or something. Do you have when did you get your first tattoo? How old were you? 18. Same here. But you didn't, did your mom...
Like right after turning 18, I was like, I'm grown. I can do whatever the fuck I want to.
Yes.
I'm going and I'm getting a tattoo. And I went to Deep Elm and I walked in on like a Friday night and I'm like, that's what I want, but I want you to change this and add this. And the guy was like, I got you, let's go. And we just sat down there at Cat Tattoo in Deep Elm and he went to town.
And that was a full back piece?
No. That was just the, tribal on my arm.
There you go.
Yeah.
I got my first tattoo 18
major.
in the Army, but my grandmother, who I was raised by, didn't see it till I was like 25, 26.
It's just weird like that.
I want to know how that went over.
That went like shit.
Yeah, because grandma's hardcore on business side.
And it's the Grim Reaper. So it's a picture of the Grim Reaper on my chest right here.
Yeah.
Because I was a DJ, and that was that was my DJ logo, because every party I went to, I killed it. So I just said I Grim Reaper that party. So I said, forget it. So I got the Grim Reaper head and the hood and the scythe and all that other sickle, whatever you call that thing.
Yeah.
And it says busy right inside the sickle. So I had to change my shirt, and here's the bad part about it. Running late for church. Ran out the room, put my shirt on, and I just got out I had been out the Army maybe a week and a half. Grown ass man.
Yeah.
Been to Desert
just
Storm.
Served his time.
Everything. And she said, what is that? I said, that's a tattoo. She said, no. Is that the devil on your chest?
We're about to go to church.
And I was like, well, no, it's the grief. That's what the devil. When I say we were late for church that day, and then we heard about it.
Grown ass man got whooped.
Man, bruh. And then
She bring it up at church.
That's where we were going. Church, like 600 people in service that day. It was some big deal, and they made a big deal. I was home from the Army or whatever. She said, yeah. But he got the devil on his chest. It's like, wait a minute, mama, hold on. Now, everybody understood it was a tattoo, but my grandmother took it to the extreme.
It's very serious.
So, of course, the next tattoo I got, as you see, it's Jesus.
Of course.
On my arm. He's holding the record, though, so that's my God-given talent DJing, and I put her name inside of it. She was cool with that. But this...
It eased everything.
Oh, man.
You had to get some redemption.
Quick, fast, and her. So when you said that, your mom in the first tattoo, that just brung back...
They like take you
It's
up front,
just
make
that
her pray
initial-
for you and stuff because you had the devil on you.
I was ready to hit the dust. I always sit in the back. So if she would have done that, I would have been out. I would have
Into
been
the
out.
back of the
Where'd he
car.
go? The car would have been moving. Shit, had to walk home, everything. Yeah, no, it would have been bad.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
I feel like everybody's kind of gets that experience at some point from someone in their family that's just fully disappointed and later on realize that it is what it is.
The one that really set my family off is when I pierced my tongue, man. I hid that for like a year, and then I have this habit, I like to sit on the kitchen countertop. I don't know what it is about that, but my parents' house, always if we're in the kitchen or near there, I am sitting on the counter.
I'm a lay on the floor guy.
Sitting up just high enough that my dad asked me something, and when I spoke, I was just at that right angle, and he's like, "What's in your mouth?" And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I was like, nothing in my mouth. He's like, "No, what's that in your mouth?" I saw something glimmer, and I was like,
So he knew.
Shit.
He knew.
He's like, "You're 19. You're a grown-ass man." I said, "Yeah, you got that Playboy bunny on your hand that you hate. Don't come at me like that." He's like, "But you're still living in my house." And I was like, fair enough. I was like, we can just leave it right there. And he's like, "No more shit like that. You want to do that shit? Then you obviously grown enough to go get your own damn place."
Tongue rings remind
That
me
part.
of, you remember the movie Rat Race?
Yeah, vaguely.
The dude,
This probably does for sure.
the dude, not Seth Green, but his best friend, the kind of mute guy, because his tongue was so swollen from the tongue
Bad piercing. I do remember that. Yes.
And he's just like, oh.
Yeah. Funny thing, the guy, my friend Elijah, that went with me when we did that, we both pierced our tongues the same night. And same thing, his tongue literally did that. It swelled up to where it was barbell to barbell, and it put so much pressure that that next morning he had to take his out. He couldn't hang with it.
I got my ear pierced, and my wife, before we got married, I had to take it out.
Same.
She's like, nah, ain't nothing to do with the pierced ear. Nah, not happening. Before you walk down the aisle, you better check.
Said,
Cool bean, ixnade. I got the whole, it's the little divot,
You
but
still feel like
I
the
can
little
still feel
hole,
the whole thing, but
same, because I didn't want to wear a stud So I had mine pierced with like gauge, like so that I could just have a hoop like right out the back. 'Cause I did not want a stud in my ear.
You get blisters.
That's a little Michael Jordan stud.
I mean
Michael Jordan hoop.
you still feel it
the knobs and stuff.
I don't think you could
there.
like actually get anything through.
No, mine is still done. But Cool Beans is not having that. And then my stupid son, 5th grade pitcher, he went, he knows how much she hates it, so he got a fake clip-on earring. Dude, and he didn't say nothing. We got the pictures back, and he's sitting there cheesing, and he got them big Obama ears that stick out like Will Smith. And he looked at her, she said, "What is that?" He's like, "Man, they must have photoshopped that in there. I don't know what that is."
Y'all get him
like
prepared.
Photoshop
He's
before
just
anything. Oh my goodness. When I say she came unglued, she done mailed them off to everybody. Everybody got them. They all thought it was cool. My wife lost her mind.
How long was he grounded for?
Oh, Michael, he was in 5th grade. I think he got ungrounded once he got into junior high.
Oh,
they must have felt like it because anytime she seen a dude, it wasn't that, but anytime we were out in public and she seen a guy with an earring, she'd punch him. It just brung back the nightmare. Why'd you hit me?
This is deep-rooted trauma, for sure.
I don't even know why. Oh, yeah, I forgot. You and that stupid earring, that's why she hit you. Like, okay. But, I mean, that's kind of cool. Like, I guarantee you everybody has a first time they did something that you thought was cool and your parents did not story. And
I mean, even you look back sometimes and you're like, that was very uncool. But I'm glad that happened.
Oh, yeah. You got, if you didn't go through the experience, what is life?
For sure.
What is life?
So everybody already asked, before I forget, because I'm getting there, we're going to just keep going off on random topics here and chatting, but everybody wants to know what we're smoking, what we're drinking. So, drink-wise, ranch water, and I'm doing Fortaleza tequila. Biz is over there with his magic water. I thought he was going to order something at the bar.
No, Crystal Light water.
We got past Roy Rogers, so we went Crystal Light tonight.
Crystal Light.
And then what we're smoking. So Steven gave me a couple options, I guess, what he smokes with his old man. Apparently his old man's a big cigar smoker, and that's when he gets to smoke cigars the majority of the time. We unfortunately did not have any of the cigars that he has grown up smoking when he does smoke with his old man. So what we're smoking, and please feel free to share what you think about it, but the Nelson Alfonso, the Bandolero, we're smoking the red label, the Series C. I think it's an amazing cigar that's just an all-around goes with just about anything.
I really enjoy it. It's kind of like built into like a much better cigar as it's kind of like trailed into the middle of it. It was a little tight at first, I'd say, but super smooth cigar. It's not something that I'm like not into the taste.
Like kicking your ass
it's a smooth cigar. It's actually like exactly what I was looking for when I messaged you what I wanted.
Right on. Glad we met what you were looking for there.
Sure.
And Biz is over there smoking the German.
I spent 3 years in Germany. I can't pronounce this. The Weltschmerz.
I can't say it either.
W-E-L-T Schmerz.
Yeah, the Schmerzer.
It's good. Let's just call it good, because but it's good. It's good.
They're good. You guys have seen me smoke that one
like
on
a
here
sausage.
before.
Pause. Got to say pause after that. Got to say pause. Pause. They can't see me, so I don't want them to think that I'm holding something that's not a cigar. It's a cigar, ladies and gentlemen.
Fair.
Yeah, so Biz has got this like 18 ring gauge sausage stick over there. No, I'm just kidding.
Now you coming from Miami, that's all they smoke is some huge Gordo baseball bat dildo sized cigars down there. When I went down there, when we did some work with EP Carrillo, and I went to a little shop in Miami, I'm like, every cigar in here was the size of my forearm. I'm like, damn.
So true story. I'll tell you all this. I'm not going to say any names because I hope he's like checking out the podcast. But when I was in Vegas this last weekend, I went in the Monte Cristo lounge and I was sitting there enjoying a cigar. I found an Oliva that was like $40. That it was about all I could stomach in this cigar humidor. Yep. Everything was double the normal price at a minimum. Yes. Vegas, typical Vegas.
$8 cigar is $25.
So I'm looking and I'm like, they actually have some pretty good shit. Like, they had a box of the I'm gonna just say the Torpedo Atabey.
Okay.
I don't know what that's actually called, but it's the Torpedo Atabey. They had that. That was $78. Yeah, bro. Yeah, but if y'all could see Biz's face, you'd understand.
For the box?
just hit the
or
No,
one?
for one cigar. Then they had the Blue Label Byron, opposite of what we're smoking right now. Like, they had the Blue Label Byron. The Blue Label Byron was $68.
Good.
And I was like, I can't do it. I can't do it. Like, that's really, those would be two I would have just gone grabbed anytime I'm here at ICC. And this place really made me appreciate ICC even more, because I went to the Davidoff Lounge. That was cool. Nice little patio to sit out on, right across from the wind, but was not up to the hype of what everybody had made me think I was walking into.
Did you have your balls broken over at the Hard Eight?
No, I did not go in there because based on the stories I was told, I felt like I needed to have a suit jacket on to go in this place.
A suit jacket?
And I didn't have one with me, so I was like, I'm not even going to go because I don't want to go there and get turned
You
down.
need your platinum Amex. You need your firstborn child.
Social security.
You do better in the casino gambling with your mortgage money than you would in there. Cause
All right, so
it's
yeah.
just dumb. It's like take the numbers you just experienced
Yeah.
at those two lounges.
Times it by two.
Yes.
All right.
For no reason.
The Monte Cristo is not bad. It's a very nice lounge. Very comfortable, very laid back. I mean, overall, outside of ICC, it's one of the nicer lounges I've been in. Outside of, like, Texas. Like, it wasn't like your grandpa's, like, bowling alley cigar lounge that, you know, is in this old ran down building. It was actually really nice. So
Where was it?
Huh?
Where, what? Was it in one of the hotels?
It was in Caesars. So the
Okay.
Monte Cristo's in Caesars.
Oh yeah. It's right across from where I stay at the Nouveau. It's right across from the little Asian fusion restaurant.
Yeah, right past Nubu.
I know the spot.
Nouveau,
right past Nouveau.
Yeah, I stayed in the Nouveau a few times. That's another
and
show.
Alafe or whatever, the restaurant.
I know what you're talking about.
It's right by there. This little 20-foot in diameter cigar humidor does $3.7 million a year in cigar sales.
Really?
wild.
And you got it because you have to hit it as soon as you walk in. It's right there in front because the desk is in front of you.
Yeah.
You go in there, you do whatever.
That's
and you
part
go to
of
the
it.
side. Yeah,
you
but
gotta
just,
grab a cigar.
man.
$3.7 million out of a 20-foot in diameter lounge. So I sit down.
Damn.
There's this guy sitting in the
good
chair
business.
next to me at this little table, right? He has an 18-gauge ring cigar that is about this long.
For what?
That is, if the band was at the tip of my cigar, like he smoked this much of it, threw it in the ashtray on the side like he was still going to smoke it, but has a brand new one that he's lighting up next to me. After my first drink comes, I have to ask him, like, it's killing me. I'm like, hey, man, excuse me, like, what are you smoking over there? And he tells me the name of it. I can't even remember the name of it. Michael found it real quick online. I was like, that's what he was smoking. I was like, okay. I was like, did you not like it? I'm a little confused because you've got a half-smoked one sitting here and you're lighting another one. He's like, it's not bad. I mean, it's one of the ones the guy recommended based on what I told him I like. I only get to smoke cigars when I travel to Vegas like once a month, and that's the only time I smoke because my wife doesn't like the cigar smell. So he's like, I always smoke cigars when I'm in Vegas or I'm golfing or something like that or on a business deal.
Sure.
It's like, okay. I was like, he's like, what are you smoking? I told him. He's like, well, do you have a recommendation? He's like, hold on, just let me buy you a drink. And I'm like, all right, sure, man, buy me a $30 old fashioned here. Like, I'm down for that. Like, let's roll.
Let's make it 100.
Yeah. So he buys me one, and we're sitting there talking, and he's like, you know, ever since you asked me about the cigar, this is kind of like smoking a big rolled up newspaper. I'm like, you're from Cali, aren't you? And he goes, how'd you know that? I'm like, well, you're smoking an 18-gauge ring gauge cigar that's like yay long. You already threw one in there. Money's clearly not an object because I walked in there a minute ago, and those are like $55, $75 cigars that are just these monstrosities.
You're lighting the next one, you don't even like it.
Yeah, that no straight guy would have ever attempted to smoke.
I was going to say that, but I was trying to hold on for that point.
I mean, I'm just being honest.
It's like you're smoking. It's
He's like,
a
this is what we smoke in California.
Yeah, like a straight guy's gonna get FOMO like real quick and like just be like, I ain't smoking that. There's no way.
No.
None of my bros are taking a picture of me just puffing on this big
He's
stick.
like, I
That's
got
like you
2 of
puffing on
them.
a-
He's like, he's got 2 of them. I'm like, all right, so
Just imagine taking a bratwurst and lighting it on one end, and then you got your mouth on the other.
like the biggest bratwurst you've ever seen in your life.
That picture
like,
is not painted pretty.
like something off of Pornhub. Like I
Yep,
mean, it's
yep.
straight up like.
Well, not in Texas anymore, but we'll talk about that
Oh
later.
wait.
Say.
Okay. All right. I guess I missed something while I was gone.
They've
But-
done banned Pornhub in the
Banned
past
Pornhub in
week.
Texas.
Well, all right. So, anyways, the guy finally asked me. He's like, "Hey, why don't you pick out a cigar for me?" I was like, "What price point?" He's like, "Money don't matter." He's like, "I'm a VC guy." I'm like, "All right." So we got a VC guy. I'm like, "All right, he's got
What's
money."
VC?
A venture capitalist.
Okay.
So
Oh, yeah.
like he's there to invest in businesses and shit. He's having the meetings, and we have a good old time. We're talking, and I was like, "All right, man." I was like, "If you don't give a shit about money," I said, "they're a little overpriced, but I guarantee you're not going to kick either of these cigars out. Like,
Sure.
grab either that Byron or that Atabey, and you're going to have the best cigar you've ever smoked in your life if you think that's okay and you're going with it." So the cat goes in there and buys the Byron. He starts smoking it, man. He will not stop talking about how great of a cigar it is. I'm like, well, he's like, "You really know your cigars?" I'm like, "Man, I dabble in it here and there. We're talking, you know," and he starts smoking it. I shit you not. His cigar gets to about another inch from where mine is right now, and he throws it in the ashtray. And I was like, "Did you not like it anymore? Did it like get bad on you or something?" And he's like, "No, man." He's like, "You don't smoke past the label, do you?" I'm like,
Yeah.
"Hey, man, like you can slide this down or like take the damn thing off. Like you can literally
To
like
me, that's
like
the best part.
I'm
is
like,
once
bro,
it's
like
getting-
you can literally peel this off and like you now have all that cigar still to smoke. I mean, I get money's not an issue, but like, bro, like that's a good cigar. Like smoke your cigar. Well, he's already thrown it in the middle of the ashtray. So I'm like, all right. He's like, all right, well, what was that other one you told me to get? I was like, the Atabey.
You probably really went apeshit on that Atabey.
Go to the Atabey. Yeah, bro. He started smoking that Atabey and he was like, this is the best damn. I know I said that a minute ago, but like, this is even better. I was like, yeah, man. Like, I was like, hey, give me your cigar before you light it.
You put a mark
I was
on
like,
it?
man, I peeled those wrappers off and I was like,
mind if I
there
take
you
a
go.
piss?
Yeah, you're good.
that
You can
cool?
take a break. We'll cover it.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll be right back.
Go for it.
Swing
Just
it out.
You
Swing it out.
forward.
I never seen
So-
nobody snake around it before.
So Biz, he's like, hey man, he's like, so I can smoke the. I was like, yeah, man, like until it gets down by your fingertips and it's too hot for you to hold, like, get after it, man. Like,
Yeah, explain- some cigars change. Some cigars
yeah.
are meant to change
I was
them
like,
once you get to a
some
certain
even
point.
better, man, when you get down into it. Like, he was just flabbergasted, man. Like, he ended up buying our drinks all night, me and Sarah, because Sarah shows up, you know, short in there. He's buying us I mean, we sat with him and this other cat from Israel.
Vegas
for
is
like
truly a
7
place
hours.
that you just meet people that you do not expect to meet, and it becomes, I won't say life changing, but for the trip, it can become that. I met a guy the same way in Austin, not Austin, San Antonio.
Yeah.
So, smoking cigars on the Riverwalk, and I was down there to do photos, and I met a guy, and he says, "Oh, what's the cigar?" And I gave him an Atabey. I had some with me, and we were smoking. Come to find out, he's a well-selling author on Amazon. He's from Brazil, and he did children's books. And I think I ordered one. It might be at the house, but we sat there and we talked, and he was celebrating his 3rd book, going like crazy. And it's just like, you never know what a cigar will actually get you where you are. It's the great equalizer, as they call it, where you'll meet somebody. And it's like, that's why. But when Steven gets back, you know, and if he tells the story about him and his dad when he smokes with him, wow, he's already back. So we want us to kind of, you to give us, since we're talking about how a cigar, you can swing that out. Just swing it out. There you go. Tell us a little bit about when you and your dad share a cigar together. When is it when you guys actually do
A
that?
little bit closer because you're a little soft spoken.
So golfing mainly.
Can you golf? Are you pretty good?
Yeah.
All right, I
I got a
suck.
feeling he's a stick.
I suck, so I just had to ask.
I'm like a sleeper player where you'd kind of expect me to be bad at a lot of different sports, and I just kind of come through.
I can see that.
It's a
like,
hit or miss, though.
He's
but
probably gonna put up a mid-70s on you out of line and be like, "I haven't played in a year."
that's probably what you'll hear, honestly. But yeah, so we were Miami Hurricanes fans through like 3 generations, through like the best generations of of Miami.
I have a Hurricane starter jacket,
Coke.
like from
I
starters.
use that for the Coke stuff.
Yes. So that was my generation, but my dad and my grandfather had like the Ray Lewis, had that whole era, and just a powerhouse team. And so it was very awesome to kind of be part of the last championship Miami had with like Clinton Portis and like a lot of different players like that, Devin Hester, people that just don't. So at one point there was like, I think Miami was funneling like the largest amount of players into the NFL at one point, and probably like some of the best players in the game at the time.
For sure.
And yeah, so you'd see me wearing like a Ray Lewis Ravens jersey, and I had like an Ed Reed one too, and then Ken Dorsey was just a stud football quarterback, and he went to the 49ers, and so I had a 49ers Ken Dorsey jersey, and we met Dan Marino all the time, and I met him a bunch, but I remember one time was funny meeting him at like an Olive Garden, just casually. You're like, all right. And did you ever go to Miami?
I've been to Miami several times.
Do you know like the Big Cheese?
No.
Pizza spot?
No, I do not.
Huge pizza spot. It was like where The Rock used to hang out, and
I always go to this daiquiri spot that's very famous on Biscayne, and I remember we went and somebody tipped the girl.
Mai Tai?
Maybe that's what it's like. They're rumored like they are famous for like just one. You're only allowed one.
It's probably the Hurricane, honestly. But that's kind of like a New Orleans thing too.
Is it? Because I know it's on Biscayne Ave and blah 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 blah. But anyway, that's when I was in radio and you have I used to go to what's the big convention down there? It was the Hip Hop Awards.
Okay.
When the Hip Hop Awards used to come down, the BET Hip Hop Awards was there. That's when I would go to Miami.
So that area was just a hub. And so seeing people was that's why it was weird coming here. Like you don't see people like you see people in Florida. And when you're young, you just don't understand like what that is. And now if I've seen a lot of the people that I've met in my life as a younger guy, I'd probably have a different reaction, but it was very normal. And the interactions were normal. It wasn't like nowadays where someone sees someone, they're like, let me get a picture, and like you bother someone. It was just a person on the street, you chop it up for a second and move on, and that was the best.
That serves you the best too for the
and
record.
the first day, so me and my mom got off the road after my parents got a divorce. We drove from Miami to Dallas, and we stopped in New Orleans. Like we had a hell of a time. She really made the divorce trip special because it was like it's just me and you. I mean, the car was packed to shit, so I was in the back seat on the right, and then surrounding me to the brim was boxes. Like there wasn't any movement, and that's a long drive. It's 22-hour drive, and we made it 4 days. So I'm stuck in this car for 4 days, and we'd stop somewhere, she like Daytona Beach or something. She's like, let's get a skimboard, and so makes that a fun experience. Oh, we stop in New Orleans. She's from Shreveport. Okay. So we just needed to stop there. She's like, I'm gonna show you New Orleans. We're gonna get beignets, and we're gonna go see the French quarters, and all the stuff she wants to show me. And so she made that an experience. And then the first day we get to Dallas, we go to Verizon and get our phones hooked up because I've got a 305 number. We're moving into 214. I'm not going to need a 305 number anymore, which I wish I had a 305 number because that's the best area code, 305. And walk into the Verizon store, and who do I see checking out but Michael Irving from Miami Hurricanes and then Dallas Cowboys, and we chop it up. And
how'd you know it was Michael Irvin? I mean,
because I had met him.
Oh, okay.
We were really diehard.
That's just a Michael Irvin joke.
That's fair. We were diehard Hurricanes fans. We were at like every home game. We had season tickets for 25 years through 4 generations on the 50-yard line. It was like,
oh man,
it was very important. And Mandy's getting in.
Mandy's here, so now we can't tell any more Mandy stories.
And So we were diehard fans, and so on the weekends or like days that they weren't playing or they were practicing, my dad would take us up to the college, and we would be like the guys who stood on the sidelines as they practiced and ran off, and I'd have a white sheet of paper and I'd get all the players to sign it. So at one point, and there was a crazy forget what the steakhouse was. It was just the worst steakhouse, but it was right next to the college, and so all the players were always there. And so when we would go there, I'd always have a piece of white sheet of paper for some reason.
Yeah.
And I have a paper floating around that has some of the top names from like rookies in college and became just like the best players. And so those experiences were great. And so my dad had a cigar for every one of those experiences, was the end points of this story. And so he'd have a cigar when we were cooking out before the game. He'd have a cigar on the sidelines while we watched the practice. He'd have it while we played golf or whatever. I'm pretty sure that's how we started this conversation. I trailed off. But so just the smell of a cigar is like very nostalgic for me. Like anytime I smell, because people will be driving around in their car smoking cigars, and I always have the window down. I'll get a whiff of it and think of my dad. And yeah, so
I feel like a cigar painting's coming up real soon.
I think I think that needs to happen for sure. Sounds like a fun painting. There's some pretty lame ones out there, but I think I could probably do something pretty cool.
Yeah. So what are maybe some of the other mediums you've played around with and like you do? Because I've seen you do spray paint stuff, like graffiti type art, and you play with the acrylics, and like I've just seen you do a lot of different things. Like, is there one you're like really getting into now, one you're experimenting with, or are you still just kind of, what's the angle now? Now that we're like full time and you kind of, I know you said that the painting you donated is kind of an older style, was something you were really working with for a while, but now you're kind of, you've done the car thing, you're doing that. Like what are you kind of being inspired by now? What are you working with now?
So still working with acrylics, still working with spray paint. I've always been against oil just because it takes a really long time for it to dry, and I just don't work. I don't really work slow. I like to work with energy and move fast, and acrylic dries the fastest, but I have lately tried to get into oil, and it really isn't that hard compared to acrylic. It's just the dry time. And so I've been playing around with that. We got a sewing machine. We've been chopping up clothes, making clothes. I made some merch for the art, and been doing spray paint murals. So
that's what I gotta do. I gotta get him a picture of that hoodie that Luciano wore in here, and maybe he can design me something like that. Did you? Oh no, you weren't up here.
Then when he came in a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
I didn't. I was
holy
there.
Shit, that was like.
You had a hoodie from the company.
No, I don't know, man. Like Luciano is like cigar god. Like he's one of like really great cigar crafters in the industry. He came in with this hood. The only way I can describe it is like a combination between like a poncho and a hoodie. But like the hoodie almost looked like he was wearing a bulletproof vest, but it was all layered and had like all these like kind of like how the middle part is on yours, like where it looks layered like a patch.
Like patch.
Everything was kind of like sewn together and like real like frayed and raw, but like
even just your description of it's kind of like
dope.
Fuck, that was sick
like
as shit.
Not many people could pull it off, I don't think either. Like, but like Luciano came in and it was like a boss just walked in the room, and you're like, holy shit! Like
he does look like a guy that needs a bunch of security but never has it.
Yeah. I mean, but he came in
because he's that guy. Yeah,
he came in with a crew, bro. Like
really?
There was like 5 people with him. Like Ed Trevino, the cigar guy, was with him, and like a couple other guys that I don't know their names, but I recognize.
They were in town
them
for another event down south.
Yeah,
that's why.
So like, but he had a group of guys with him that like, I mean, but like when he walked in, like you just saw like Luciano was like the leader of the pack, man. I mean, Luciano is like one of the nicest guys in the world, like, but came in all like just Mr. GQ with the like freshly shaved head, like came
the
in
don't
just
talk to
rolling
me
and
look.
like, no. I mean, I don't know. What do you think? Like some people that didn't know him would like, he like say he had the like don't. Like he's just
Like
the
you
like
kinda,
nicest.
you're like,
most
that's the
scared-
guy.
no,
Give
he-
him his space.
He will scare the
Laid
shit
back.
out of you until he talks.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then because when a serious face, he'd be like, hell no. But the minute he talks, dude, he's the nicest, warmest, coolest, will talk to you. And then when he breaks down how he blends and makes cigars, it's literally like you just went on this epic journey of weed smoking and unicorns.
Love that.
Yeah, it's poetry, man.
He's a craftsman.
Oh,
And he's so
all day.
well spoken, man. Like
All day.
His posts on Instagram and stuff, I'm just like, damn, like dude, just like killed it. Like
And his
this
cigars
post,
are
like I mean,
fire.
he could be talking about like something his wife's doing, and it's like most poetic, well written thing you've ever heard, and you're just like,
So you could probably relate with your creativity. Like he doesn't sleep.
Sure.
He'll wake up at 3:00 in the morning and he'll grab cigar leaves that are under his bed and he'll create a cigar. Like
He's an
he'll
he's an
dream
artist.
it.
He's an
Yeah.
and he has
Yeah.
some other. I mean, I think it's actually like a condition or
Yes.
something like that, like where he like if you like he has to sometimes be in like a darker room and stuff
Yep.
like that. Like music, he sees colors.
Yep.
And stuff like that. Like it's wild.
Synesthesia, I think it's what it's
You,
called.
I mean, if you
that
said
might be music to color. Is that what you? That's what you said, right? Yeah, synesthesia. There's this music artist I really like. It's Tosh Sultana. She had like a psychoactive breakdown and was hospitalized for a while. Came out, was like a genius at playing music and creating sounds like live. And now she's like a huge touring artist through like this act of synesthesia that happened in this crazy way.
That's fucking gnarly. Like,
I think,
so dope.
Kandinsky, do you know who that is? He did kind of like the crazy art back in the day. He's from another country, but he had the same thing. He listened to music,
Yeah.
and what he painted was what he saw through sound, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where are you going for inspiration now? Like, where is your inspiration coming from? Like, what are you?
I
Where are you
dive.
kind of, maybe I'm not asking that right, but I'm
No,
trying
no,
to
no.
like ask the
I
right.
get that question often. I think people can ask it in different ways, and you kind of answer it in different ways too. But for me, I am not one to like search outwardly all the time for
Yeah.
inspiration. Like I genuinely am kind of bored by a lot of artists right now with like a lot of redundant art or art that's just everybody else is creating. And I mean, it sells because everybody loves it, but it's just like I'm so done seeing it all the time. So I look inside, just a little lame sounding, I guess, but yeah, I try to create from my feelings and whatever connects to me emotionally that I'm going through in life, or see like an image or something like that. I try to tell a story out of
Yeah.
it.
I wish I could think of this guy's name right now. I follow him on Instagram. He's a Miami-based artist, and he'll take like, it's like this robot-looking like. Do you remember like? Did you ever listen to
I probably
Used?
know.
Did you listen to the Used? Mm-hmm. You remember that like whole robot series they did where like the head of the robot's like a TV from like the 50s looking
Sure.
thing, and he has these like wild primary colors like melting out of this like whatever he's doing, or he has the little elephant, and like it's like there's this really surreal like real object, and then it's the colors just kind of like exploding out of it. But he's gotten really huge. Like every art show he does like sells out like instantly now.
Is he older or new?
He's a Hispanic guy that used to be a tattoo artist, I believe. Like, but he's really.
I'm almost certain if I saw it, I'd know exactly.
I'm gonna have to when we get off here. I'll search my
Someone
Instagram.
who is like a staple for Miami was an artist named Brito, and he's like
Yeah.
the artist you see like in the airport now,
Yeah.
and he made very vibrant, like colorful art, kind of like what you're saying.
Yeah.
And he drove around in this old Rolls Royce that was just covered in his painting, and that's just how he cruised the town, and you'd see him. Is that idea of seeing people casually.
Yeah.
Like you just see this artist in his Rolls Royce that he painted himself, just kind of like cruising
Yeah.
with a cigar maybe, or just like in his fedora. But Yeah, the guy you're explaining kind of reminds me of like the old head version of.
It's just like it kind of blew my mind when I was talking to Mandy not too long ago. Like, I had to ask her, I was like, so is the girl in your paintings the majority of the time? Or like, is that you? Like, and I guess that's kind of a weird question when I thought about it. Like, but like a lot of times it looks to me like it's almost like she's like painting herself, but then like it might not be her, but then like she's adding her experience of like her into it. So maybe that's why. I think
that's it.
Maybe that's why it comes across more that way. But like, because like I immediately knew like the one she did recently, like I was like, you went back to your grandma's, didn't you? Because like she's always like showed me pictures and like told me that story about these trips. And I know you guys recently took a trip back there. But, like, I got you saw that in the like head of the girl and like all of that. So I was like, are you painting? Like, is that where you get that from, or like?
I won't speak for her, but I think yes. So even in my work, and we're very similar in that way, is that there's an essence of us, even if we're not painting us.
There has to be.
Yeah, and the story we're telling is, I guess, emotionally charged in the image rather than like, this is me and this is her and we're just going to paint ourselves over and over again.
I just think the girl looks a lot like her.
She definitely has paintings that like will end up in that space where it has resemblance qualities of who she is. The painting she just finished might be similar hair color now.
I think there's one of them. All kinds of stuff. I was watching her do it on Instagram. Like, it was super dope.
But yeah, I mean, I like to add on to your inspiration question. I like stories, and I enjoy being a part of different cultures. And growing up in Miami, I didn't necessarily get that from my family, but all my friends were from Peru or Argentina or Colombia, or their parents were. And my family wasn't very cultural in the religion sense, so I liked going to youth groups, and sometimes that was at a Jewish temple or a Catholic temple, and I was just with my friend. It was just to be with my friends all the time. But there was a lifestyle behind that. There was an influence choice. In college, I drove around listening to a lot of the music that my friends' parents probably would have listened to growing up in San Marcos, Texas, just bumping that kind of music. And I try to tell stories and paint from a place that reminds me of how those experiences felt, like cooking a pig at 8 years old in the ground wrapped in banana leaves, and the parents telling you that, oh, well, we're gonna eat at 12 at night because that's when the pig's gonna be ready. And it's not like dinner at home where dinner's ready at 7:30 7 or whatever it is. And it's just different. And growing up in that, it really let me kind of be whoever I wanted to be, in a sense, where my parents were strict in a way, but they were not strict in the best places. So, and I was a little bit of a schemer, a little bit. They called me Dennis the Menace because they seemed like I was getting in trouble a lot. It was mostly just stupid kid stuff, but like I got my friends in maybe third or first grade to skip our science class, and we just walked around the school, and this sounds so bad, and the cleaning lady had her basket out, and it was right next to the pre-K, and so we just grabbed everything, and we're like TPing the pre-K center, and it's just nonsense, honestly. And I still get stories from their parents, like when I go back to Miami. Remember when you told our kids to skip class, and can't we just move on? But
can we forget about that?
Yeah, there's a bit of recklessness, a bit of danger that I think kids nowadays can't really experience in the same way. And I think Honest and the things we're doing are trying to bring back elements of what that experience was for me into people now who are kind of trapped.
That's cool, man.
Trapped in the tech a little bit too much.
What do you listen to music while you paint, or you want it silent? Do you watch stuff? Like what do you what do you create in your setting, like, to kind of get you into your zone?
I used to just always have music playing, and especially having like social anxiety. Just having earbuds in made me separate from the world completely. And
what do you listen to?
Everything. I go through phases, and I also just listen to everything in general. Lately,
so music is very mood for you?
Mood. Well, so
it is for me.
Growing up, I didn't understand that. That it really was affecting who I was as a person and my moods, the music I was listening to. And so I kind of geared my life in a way, how am I feeling today? That's the music I'm going to put on, or that type of experience. Lately, it's been a lot of like Black Pumas, Otis Redding. And,
dude, I dropped the Black Pumas in there.
Who was I just listening to when I drove in? Something Womack. I can't remember, but it was California Dreamin' by something Womack, and it's like one of my favorite redos of California Dreamin'. It's real slow and kind of psychedelic a little bit, but all over the place. I try to not get too heavy in it, so if I need just quiet in my brain, I will shut everything off.
Have you listened to Bastards of Soul?
I have not.
You need to check that out. If you like Black Pumas, you'll like Bastards of Soul for sure. Like, that'll be something dope you'll vibe with, I'm sure. You'll have to check that out. Let me
see what that song was. Bobby Womack, California Dreamin'. It's great. You guys go check that out.
All right. Well, we'll put that on the list. We'll put that on the list. Drop your website real quick. I don't think we've done that yet. Like, tell everybody where they can go find you.
Website is the same as Instagram, honestlabel.art, www.honestlabel.art. Obviously not for Instagram. You wouldn't put the www. But yes, go check that out. Mandy's stuff is going to be on there soon. We just kind of kickstarted it because I had a lot of stuff ready to go, and we were building out the website. But Honest Label is very much me and Mandy. She goes by Mrs. Honest. I go by Honest. So
have you guys done any collab paintings together?
We do a ton of collabs, and they're the fastest paintings to go. That's why it's a bummer. But so we never get to show anybody really any of the collabs because they're gone. We'll do a collab, bring it to a pop-up, and that'll be maybe the one that sells.
The first piece that goes.
And it's because people love hearing our story, which is a fun story. And I think there's a little bit of a love story whenever you get a painting from us. And honestly, our paintings very much look like love stories a lot of the times. A lot of Greek sculptures with my kind of abstract painting styles as far as like the street art aspect of it. So it's a cool it's not what you usually see, which is like Poseidon with graffiti behind it. It's more of a true love story of these Greek sculptures falling in love, and there's like a lot of bright yellow tones or a neon color flashing and hitting the face. They're cool. But yeah, we do tons of collabs, and we're excited to just do more. That the mural you've seen at Design District, that we did that together, and so she wanted to do a mural, and I reached out to the guy, and he hooked it up, and so we did a mural, and she did half of it, and I did the other half, and we kind of forged that idea.
A couple
together.
That paints together stays together.
Yeah. I mean, we're fiery, too. You get two people with a lot of imagination trying to do a business together and be lovers at the same time. It's tough. But I think the strength behind it and what we kind of premised the relationship at the beginning is what's really making this strong right now. We showed up as ourselves when we first met each other. We put out every flaw, everything we were dealing with, everything we're trying to figure out, which isn't always the best start to a relationship, but
I disagree because there's no surprises.
To most people,
be who you are.
To most people, how you use that conversation to kind of move forward.
Because then you become genuine friends first. Because when you're friends
True.
first and when everything falls out, the friendship is what I've been married 27 years. Trust me and my wife, we still don't do business together, but we guide each other because we just have different beliefs a little bit on how we do business. So we finally agreed to where I'll do the marketing for her stuff. She'll tell me whatever she needs to tell me when I do my stuff. Cool beans. And but once you find your lane and your strength and what you do, you just play to it. Yeah. And you keep it moving.
And I think we're really pushing into how to bring each other up together and deal with.
Sorry, I'm making Mandy come on over here for a minute. We're gonna let her sit down.
Sweet.
I'll smoke my big like it's a cigar.
Sweet queen.
Welcome to the show.
Hello.
I'm gonna go over here and jump on business mic.
There you go.
We got some family watching.
Dude.
Yeah, cool.
Awesome.
Welcome to the show, Mandy. Yeah, just pull it up close to you, or it's like about a fistful away from you. You're louder than him, so I don't think we have to worry about it. Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah, you're good. Yeah, we got you.
She's definitely louder.
Yeah.
Well, I just got off work at a bar too, so
It's all right.
it's been super loud.
Yeah.
I usually am pretty loud when I get home from work. And he's like whispering and stuff.
So what do you think is our journey's been like in the art world, or trying to do honest label together been like for you?
It's been, I mean, it's kind of created like structure in my life, and like in the past before I knew him, I've painted like my entire life, but I didn't have that structure, so it was always like I'll paint 3 months and I'll go really hard, and then I'll kind of like burn myself out and be like, okay, I'm not gonna paint for the next 6 months or something. And so when I met him, he's like, I'm kind of busy right now doing this thing, so like I don't know if we can like date or hang out as much because I'm committed to this. And I was like, I want to be committed to this. Like I've wanted to, but I haven't been able to like hold myself accountable to it. And so just put me in that position, and I've just like mental health, like all that shit just improved so much because I really just need to be doing that. Like
I'll say I've seen the change in you since you two met. Like, it's been super cool to see the chemistry that you two have. And I can remember you telling me about a painting you were like struggling with, and Steven was just like, all right, you were gonna just scrap it. And he was like, no.
He hates when
don't
I
scrap that. He's like, maybe think about X, Y, Z. And you're like, and then I just went back to work on it, and now I love it. And you're like, it's like, it's my thing now. Like
sometimes I'm just like in the mood. If I'm like so over a painting and I don't know where it's going or something, like in the past I would just throw like a bunch of paint over it and just start from scratch. And when he sees that, he's like, you just put so much work into that last piece. Like it's kind of like you're wasting paint. What are you doing right now? And I'm like, true, I've never thought about it like that, because paint can be expensive.
Well, and I've seen you both influence each other too, because I've watched your artwork from, obviously I didn't see Steven's before y'all met, but since y'all met and started dating, I've watched the journey from you guys getting your apartment together, setting up the whole studio in the apartment, painting the whole damn apartment, which I thought was funny because I work in the apartment industry, rehabbing. I'm like, they're not getting their deposit back. They're
but we're painters.
Oh, they might paint it back, but people might want the mural or whatever.
There's a huge mural in our living room.
When we moved in, the walls were already painted like a random color, so we were like, it should be fine. They were all, it was like blue accent walls randomly.
Their rule is if you do it well and it looks fine, cool. They're not gonna pass a mural, but it would be cool to like just redo the whole apartment, then give it back to them, and they're like, oh, we should change every other apartment to match this now.
But I mean, I've watched both. I've watched both of your art, and I think you guys have inspired each other, which I think is even cooler, because now I've seen both of your artwork go up a notch. You guys are being way more creative, I think, because like, I think for you, Mandy, I think you were kind of stuck in a zone of what you were painting. I've seen your topic, I've seen your stuff kind of like evolve a whole lot, and then I've seen Steven completely go from left field to right field, and then he's back in center field, and then like seeing a little bit of the collabs, because I catch them on Instagram
Yeah.
even before they sell. So you can definitely tell when you guys are working on something together versus individually, which I think is still cool because you're both giving each other the space to still individually be artists, but you're both helping each other mature and grow. But then you guys also come back together and do shit together, which is super
It's
dope.
the ultimate journey, honestly.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have to like, I'll ask him on like advice on something, and I don't even think about it. I'm like, realistically, I just want him to tell me it looks sick. And that's it. I'm just searching for a compliment. But then he'll be just straight up honest with me, and I'm like, feelings are kind of hurt now.
I think
that-
he is too a
that's
lot of
facts.
times.
That's the battle, though, too, I know that she wants it's great. And I'll give that sometimes because I know that's the thing. But I see a lot in her, and she's really amazing. And if I just am giving her compliments, and I don't want to be the hard ass either, and that's
But
kind
you
of
want to push the boundaries a little bit.
I'm seeing what her work when she puts in a little more effort into it or is focused on something else that it's really, really good.
So you're the one that got her to stop working on 4 paintings at once and like focus on 1 painting.
No,
Actually
it's the opposite.
Yeah.
So for me, I have crazy ADHD, so I get bored pretty easily. So if I'm focused on one painting, the end result sometimes, if I'm not fired up about it, could just go downhill a little bit if I'm too much in my head. So if I can get the best out of a moment and then I'm bored, pick up a new one, start a new moment, at some point when I have nothing to work on, I have 6 pieces laying around that have been started, and I can just grab it and jump back on it and be like, okay, cool. And then at some point, 10 paintings just become finished all of a sudden. But it's the same for her. She's definitely gets very zoned in on one piece, I'd say.
That's what I'm used to.
And yeah, that's been her background. So she'll just do 3 days straight on one piece, and I think it works for her. We have our different ways of going about things.
But instead of like, if I'm working on a piece and I'm not feeling it, like instead of painting over it, then I just start a new one and just put that new idea on something. So I'm like,
There you go.
not covering as much, which is good.
Yeah.
So what are your paintings more inspired by? What are you getting inspired by lately?
I kind of, because my paintings kind of give like an aura vibe, or it's like very soft blends and everything, and I try and kind of, what my story is like my spiritual journey since I've moved to Texas, because when I moved here, I was 20, and I felt like an adult, but I wasn't an adult at all. I was a kid, and I had so much learning to do, and so kind of painting the process of like I'm from a small town in Kansas and then moving to the big city and kind of like growing up as an adult in the city and like witnessing all these things I've never seen in my life. You know? And just like the craziness of it all, kind of getting stuck in the craziness and then finding myself and slowly like starting that journey of like loving myself, figuring out who I am, all that stuff. So spiritual journey. Yeah.
What about you? What else inspires you when you're painting? And do you like listen to music, or do you want it silent? What do you like when you're painting?
Usually when we're painting, our living room is like half the studio, and we're both kind of like listening to the same stuff, or like sometimes we'll just watch a movie, you know.
Have you ever started painting at the same
Yeah.
time and like you kind of like look over and it's like, wow, we're kind of like both in the same zone, or is it like
that every day?
It can go both ways. Either one's distracted, the other one's focused, and then we swap.
Get off
And
your phone.
or I'm like in a real, I don't want to have a bunch of sounds vibe, and she wants to play a lot of music, and
Sometimes we get overstimulated.
I like podcasts. So
Yeah.
make sure you say hi to mom. Mom's on here.
Hey,
Your
mom.
mom? His
Oh,
mom?
my mom.
I sent
How-
the link.
Oh, nice.
He's been telling lots of
Hey,
mom
Becky.
stories, Mom.
Yeah, great mom stories.
Yeah.
Our trip to
We're
from
debating
Miami
what your first
to
tattoo
Dallas.
is going to be earlier. You might want to rewind and go listen to that.
His mom's
Yeah.
first tattoo.
Yeah, we were
Well,
voting. We think he should give her first tattoo.
Her,
Yeah, he
her
should definitely
finding
do it.
her
Yeah.
finding my first tattoo, like when I walked out of the bed and my pants kind of breached my knee a little bit.
But you had it for like you hit it for like
Yeah,
3 months or something.
It might have even been like 4 years or something. It was
4 years.
wild.
I'm gonna get mad all over again.
Yeah,
You're grounded, Steven.
I'm bringing it back up in her. But what were we talking about right before that?
Your mom.
My mom.
What do you do? Your atmosphere when you paint.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, it's all over the place. ADHD's kind of, I want it quiet sometimes. I want it loud. I want to hear a podcast or I want to watch a movie. I just, like I said a bunch, I like stories. So, cinema right now has been pretty
I will say
shit,
we
I'd
paint
say.
the best when we have root beer beside us.
root beer.
Root beer is
She's-
the secret sauce.
She's a root beer head. I'm a
You're
cream
convenient.
I'm a cream soda guy. So
Yeah, like usually like our Friday night, if we're gonna like paint till like 3 in the morning, we have a 7-Eleven by us. I'm like, let's get a large root beer and let's just go ham tonight. And he's like, sounds
You guys
good.
should start hosting your own like painting with a twist and have couples over and let them paint with you and like charge a fee. I
And
would
make
totally
him,
bring
make
my
him
wife.
drink root beer.
Yeah, we'll come like I'd bring my wife and we can come like paint and like just do something gnarly that like we've never done.
for
Yeah.
sure,
That'd be
that's
super
something
dope.
we've talked about doing with a couple of these studios we've visited. Just using their space and being able to bring like 50 people there and network or have a dinner and paint. Yeah.
It's a little far from you, but you should go back and check out my friend Colin. He's a tattoo artist.
Okay.
He's opening up a new space for artists called the Coke Collective. I think it's gonna be in Cedar Hill.
Coke Collective.
I'd have to go back and look. It's the Coke Collective, and
Sounds
he's
familiar.
opening up,
I know,
and
it
he's
sounds
gonna rent
familiar.
spaces to people and let everybody
think-
like come in. He's a super dope cat. You guys would
That
really
sounds
enjoy
awesome.
him.
Okay.
Yeah.
That might be something I'll
You'll
have to
get us
connect
in
you
touch.
guys
Yeah, for sure.
and check it out. Like I think that would be really cool. Yeah. So we're super excited. We talked a little bit earlier before you got here about the paintings you guys donated. You
I
want
was-
to talk about the painting that you donated a little bit? We let Steven talk about
Yeah.
his a little bit.
So that painting was inspired by, not to be like depressing, but my grandma passed away in August, and she was just like a badass lady. And I found out like once I did the painting and I was showing my family. Pull it back a little.
Yeah, bring it a little closer to you. No,
Oh,
To you.
closer. Okay.
Closer. There.
There.
Very
Okay.
good.
So I did the painting off of like the girls kind of like holding the gun like this, just like a badass pose, and then she passed away on a full like blue moon. So it's kind of based on like blue moon. It's called Blue Moon Gals, and so it's got like a moon in there. She's like this, and the girls all in blue. And so I showed my family this the next time I saw them, and they're like, did you know that's her signature pose? And I was like, no. And they showed me
The
all these
James
photos
Bond
of her
pose.
like holding the gun like this. And I was like, that's so
That's
fucking
dope.
cool.
Isn't that like the Charlie's Angels pose?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Aha.
Yeah.
Or
I'm
James,
old, I'm sorry.
Or James Bond.
Yeah, and then there's like some dragonflies in there because after she passed away, my uncle has like this really cool like pond that he built out of like just the natural stuff on the farm, and there was like 1 million dragonflies just hovering around it like pretty much like the whole week of her funeral and stuff. So I put that in there, and yeah.
And we were
No bird's nest?
Huh?
No bird's
Bird's
nest?
nest.
we were listening to, what is it called? Blue Moon?
Yeah, and then
That song Blue
she
Moon by
loved
someone.
Elvis. She had a huge crush on him, and he has a song named Blue Moon. And I was like, of course.
So we
Makes
left.
sense.
We left the funeral like right after we buried her, and just played that as
Played
the
Blue Moon,
outro.
turned it all the way up with the windows down so everyone could hear. It was cool. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
It's a good
That's
moment.
awesome.
She was just a really cool lady. I didn't get to have a lot of time with her, but you could tell she had a great impact in a lot of the people around her, even me. And I guess she didn't tell a lot of stuff sometimes, but me and her were able to sit down often and have
She's a storyteller.
a
for
good
sure.
story time.
Yeah. I feel like that's where
Um,
I get it from. Like for my bar guests and stuff, I'm telling my stories. It's just like her.
Her family shows me a lot of love, and I'm super grateful for that.
Yeah, and she also was very much into like filming and stuff. Like when I was younger, she always had this massive camera just on her shoulder. Like if we were at a track meet for my sisters or whatever, she always was like recording us. And so I think my uncles or something uploaded all of that film onto this app so all the family can just log in and watch it whenever. So the last time we were there, we just all watched it. And it was like videos of her when she was a teenager in Maine, and like she's from Maine, and I was like, this is so crazy. Like some of these I had no clue existed.
Yeah.
I remember the ones I was like me as a kid, but her as a kid, I was like, this is fucking sick. So
Yeah.
There's some of the best videos you've never seen, just raw footage from a different time period where most people didn't have a camera. It's kind of crazy to see the kind of the film that we saw, because not many people had a camera at that time, especially not a color video camera. And this was just huge chicken farm and racetrack stuff and old cars and kind of like
lots of
bicycle
Greyhounds.
rides with no shoes on, that kind of era.
Yeah.
And I got a lot of inspiration, I think, from just watching those for what I'm doing right now, which is very much a nostalgia series. This is kind of part of that, but a lot of the other pieces, one of them looks very much like a young version of my grandmother, and they're not super detailed, they're kind of abstract in a way, but you can definitely get the figures. And then one of them looks very much like her grandmother, and I just think both those people are very impactful to me right now. And then I got some paintings about Miami, and yeah. And then she's working on a lot of stuff that just, to me, is reminiscent of farm girl mentality, living in the city and kind of dreaming about the farm is a lot of the storytelling I get from what she's making right now.
Kind of like the feeling of like feeling homesick, I guess, or just wanting that like open land, like the freedom and the good feeling of that, instead of like feeling very claustrophobic in the city, like
Stuck
it's a rat
in a concrete
race.
jungle.
Yes, yeah. So I've been kind of missing home a little bit. I'm like, our lease is coming up soon, and I'm like, what do we do?
We're constantly battling
Like,
whether we're
every
going to
day
go
we're like,
live on
should
the
we do
farm
this? Should
or
we do this?
keep pushing being in Dallas more. And like I was saying earlier, I thought we were kind of doing a lot in the community, and we're dabbling in the community. And I think right now, especially this year, we're putting a lot more energy into actually engaging with people and doing a lot of support.
Yeah.
We just were people who loved art at first, and so we'd go to a bunch of pop-ups and just spend way too much money with everyone because we just loved everything. And she was just explaining how much she wanted to be a part of something like that. So from that comment, I think a week later, I got us our first pop-up, and we
like
sold
the
like
same thing with the
$2,000.
mural. I
and
was
it
just
was
like, I want to do this. And then he just reached out to something, and they're like, yeah, you're good. And then same thing with the first pop-up. I was like, we always go to pop-ups, like, let's be a part of one. And then like a week after that, someone's like, you want to be in our pop-up? So
yeah, so
I feel like I'm manifesting
we
it
did.
all.
Put it out in the universe.
Yeah.
Make it happen.
We did that and started it, and the first one we sold $2,000. We sold maybe
I
like
think
4
just you
pieces.
did. It was like very well.
And nobody else at the pop-up sold more than $20 worth of stuff. So we felt, oh, we're doing something right. And we were very chipper and energetic for the first one.
Yeah.
And towards the rest, I had just lost my job. I'm like, well, now we really need this. And so we invested weeks into just prepping for every new show. So every new show or pop-up, we each created like 3 or 4 new pieces within a week or month span to bring new art to the next group.
And we got super hyped up on the first one, making a bunch of money that we
So
spent like
hyped.
$700 on like new tent and like just like little stuff for that.
We invested in our business. We made sure the first one was so janky. We got a $20 blue tent with
on
our
Facebook
bright color
Market the
art.
night before, and it was broken.
We had,
but we made it work.
The metal wall racks you have like in your garage, and those are what supported our art. And it was raw, and I loved everything about it. The fact that we were supplying street or fine art on the street, and it just looked grungy, and like we pieced it together. I thought that was the coolest thing. Yeah. And the next 4 shows flopped harder than anything. So big flop. And
which I kind of felt like was gonna happen because it was so good the first time that I was like, we gotta like get connected with reality, you know.
But every time it didn't stop what we were doing. Every show we invested more money into the next show, which was less into the visuals, more into the paint and canvases. And so to this day, we keep just showing up with new art every time, and 4 flop shows. And then we got a decent show not too long ago. And now we're sitting on a bunch of solid work ready to put out in the world. We're doing our marketing.
And spring is right around the corner.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm really enjoying your painting even more just sitting back here in the background, like looking at it from a little bit more of a distance.
It looks really cool.
Yeah, it looks dope. Like
it's different.
Enjoying it.
It's got a different feeling to it than a lot of the art that I'm seeing right now. And that's kind of what we're trying to show up as.
My favorite part about this piece is I was sitting on the couch with him, and he was about to do the numbers, and he's like, what number should I do? And I said 337, and you were thinking like the same exact number or something. You're like 577 or something.
I was looking up references of like real cars of that era and how they would number it and where the stickers would be, and doing my nerd research, getting real into it. And it wasn't always common to have 3 numbers. But few cars had them, and I definitely didn't expect her to say 3 numbers when I asked for a number. And the picture I had up was a 57 Chevy, and I think it said 857, and it was like the first one I saw that had 3 numbers, and I'm like, hey, what number should I put on this? She's like 377. And I was like, okay, that's weird. I was like, that's weird.
You were praying she was going to say 305, weren't you?
No.
Come on.
That would have been too, like, a nail on the head. But, yeah, she said
why I said 377?
Well, 3's, like, her favorite number.
Yeah.
And then we are gambling too much sometimes.
No, that's not why.
Blazing sevens is my favorite slot machine. It was not nice to me in Vegas, though. I would have gone with 3 7s on there.
377s on that wine bottle I really like, the Noble Vines. It's called Noble Vines 377s. That's what, like, first thing that popped in my head.
Shout out to her aunt and uncle for that.
Yeah, that was at their wedding. Now I'm addicted to that wine.
It's a smooth wine.
Those are my 2 favorite numbers, so...
There you go.
If you guys are looking for a cheap red, that's
Cabernet,
very good.
Sauvignon
Noble
Blanc.
Vines.
There you go.
377.
All right, well, I want to ask you guys a couple more questions that we end every show with. But first, I'm going to jump back real quick, not to be Debbie Downer again, but we're a little over a week away from the big fundraiser. March 30th, Saturday, right before Easter. You guys can come knock it out the park for Naz. You know, he's battling stage 4 cancer. He's got a 3.5-year-old son at home, wife. You know, we really want to make this so that, you know, hopefully while, you know, Naz is head of training at Lifetime Fitness, he obviously is not, as much as he thinks he is and is trying to, he's not going to be able to train people the entire time he's going through this process. So we want to raise enough money that we can put some of those financial worries to the side, and he can really focus on trying to heal himself. So, you know, like I said earlier, we've got a lot of really dope stuff opened up for the silent auction. This is going to be at Will Call Bar. They open at noon. They're open till 2 a.m. We're going to go from 2 to 10 p.m. You can stay as late as you want, do whatever you want, party, but the silent auction is going to go from noon to 10 p.m. We're going to cut it down. It will be online. So even if you can't attend the event and you'd like to donate, you can go on there. You can bid on some of the items, like some of their beautiful paintings we've been talking about. There's going to be a lot of other stuff you can auction off on there that you guys are going to be able to bid on. You can also, we're going to post a Venmo link. It's on the event page. If you haven't got it from me and you're interested, send me a message. I'll make sure you get the invite, the link. We'll get you guys all on there. Again, we're going to be starting off, I think the first band, I might get one more in here that might start at 2 if I can make that happen. I got to reach back out to somebody that reached out to me, but starting at 4, set lineup for now is going to be a band called Dream Fever out of Denton. They're going to be like your Allison in Chains sounding band, if that's how I would describe them. They're super dope young kids out of Denton. Super, super talented. Then Terry Tompkins, who plays in the symphony for Dallas, also does a lot of music. He's going to come out and play an acoustic set, probably around 6. And then we'll have a short little intermission after that. And then we're going to cap it off with the Paco Estrada. Most of you will know him from his South FM days, but he is a famous singer-songwriter here in Dallas that writes for a lot of people like Nothing More. He just went in the studio with Blue October. So Paco is going to also sign a guitar. We're going to give away an acoustic guitar to somebody. We're not give it away. We're going to auction it off on the silent auction. We will have the paintings and the guitar for sure on site if you want to check it out. But again, this is a free event to attend. We ask if you are attending on Naz's behalf, treat it like you're being charged a cover. Donate whatever you're comfortable with. There'll be Venmo signs up all over in Will Call, and you can make whatever donation you would like. And then come out, have some drinks, listen to some good music, meet some people. There's going to be all kinds of walks of life out here. We might even do, I think Biz and I might even auction off a podcast. Like, so Ooh. If you've wanted to be on the podcast and would like to donate, we'll do an entire show just for you. You can come on here, chop it up with us. Like you guys know, I supply the cigars, I supply the drinks. Come out, have a good time, but we're going to do that.
It's a good time.
Yeah, it's going to be a great time. Like, we're going to have a lot of fun. The last one I did like this, that was going through cancer. So that's the goal I have out there. So you guys come, kick that out of the park, and that's what we're going to do. So time to wrap it up now. We'll have you guys back on sometime soon. Yeah. But show's called Common Sense. So the first question we're going to let each of you answer because you guys don't have children, but
I thought you were going to say common sense.
Yeah. we'll make up, we'll just roll with this still, because I still like to ask this question. If you were able to give maybe a young aspiring artist or something one piece of advice, what would that piece of advice be?
To fully commit. Don't get distracted by I don't know, just silly stuff going on in life. Just lock and commit to that shit, because the more you do that, the more results you're gonna see faster over time, so you can build that company or brand or whatever. That's
right on.
Throw it back to that terrible story about this tattoo, but be not afraid, and kind of take on the things you're fearful of in a healthy way, of course. But yeah, I think a lot of time spent in the head isn't always the best. So get forward in what you're trying to do in a good way and make action towards making that happen, I guess. Yeah. So,
and sometimes making yourself uncomfortable in situation kind of helps you grow a little bit. That's what I've learned in the last 2 years. Just doing something that like a podcast like this. We've never done that before, and it's I'm not, I was telling you, I'm not super comfortable talking on camera and stuff, and it's been chill.
You've killed it.
Yeah.
You've killed it. I had to put you on the spot a little bit, but
I'm glad you did.
Yeah, you get it out of the way. Like I said, you're just sitting here having a casual conversation, and that's always the best. That's where people get to learn the most.
Yes.
That's why I do this, because you've talked a lot about the struggles you've had in growing up and throughout life, Steven, and Mandy. I mean, we didn't get to get in that with you, but I mean, I know it's both the same there. Yeah. So, sometimes finding an outlet, and, maybe there's somebody else out here that's watching this that was maybe struggling and, I don't know if I could really paint that well or whatever. Put it out there, throw something up there, give it a shot. it might just even if it doesn't do anything and you're not like selling paintings, like maybe that's just an outlet for you to like get that out of your head, or, you know, to help you process something you're going through in life.
I'd also say take notice of opportunities that are put in front of you and go after them. And don't try not to always think too much about it, and just take action a little bit.
Absolutely. All right, last question. So it is common sense. Now you guys just get to give us your 2 cents, and it could be anything you feel like talking about, you want to throw out there. Maybe it's something I haven't asked you that you were like, man, I really wanted to say this or talk about this. Just kind of a free moment to like give people your 2 cents. Maybe it's your 2 cents on your art. Maybe it's your 2 cents on life, politics, whatever. It doesn't matter.
So I'll bring it back to the brand, I guess, Honest Label, and kind of our mission and what we're doing. And it's not necessarily this idea of you need to be honest all the time or this, that, the other. It's about embracing honesty in yourself and the stories we tell ourselves, and kind of noticing the truth or untruth in that, and trying to build a better life out of it, and focusing on maybe places that aren't benefiting you or bringing you down in certain ways, and switch the narrative a bit to a more positive one. That would be my 2 cents on what we're doing with our brand right now. But awesome. I think it kind of trails into society as well. Just be honest in your endeavors. We like to do good, honest business, and with good people, and take opportunities with good people. And I think when you do that, you get situations like right now where we were able to make, I think, a kick-ass podcast today.
Hell yeah.
And really show a lot of your audience who maybe aren't as ingrained in the art community that there's a couple of badass artists here with some pretty cool perspective, ready to show you guys some stories.
Hell yeah. Kick-ass, man.
What's your 2 cents, baby?
I'm trying to think. I don't really know. I was like trying to think when you were talking, and I was like, man, what he's saying sounds pretty good, but I don't know if I have anything.
Yeah, he kind of hit a home run there.
He did, yeah. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have
You can leave it there.
Yeah.
We can leave it there. Well, I want to thank all y'all for joining us this week. Next week, we're going to jump back on Wednesday because I have an event on Thursday, as does Biz. So we're going to be back on Wednesday at the same time. So hope you guys will join us there again next week for our next guest. And we hope you guys enjoyed the show. See y'all on the 30th, Will Call Bar. Peace.
Peace.